Okay, when we actually talk about the position of company secretary, we have seen the authority, we have seen appointment. Like I said, the topic will be very brief. I'm going to look into the termination and vacancy. So basically, company secretary can resign at any time by giving reasonable notice. However, when there's no director that can be communicated, he or she might have difficulty in tender resignation. Okay, so what can a company secretary do in such situation? So when the director cannot be contacted, what the company secretary can do is that they can actually give notice to the registrar of their intention to resign from the office. So basically, when he or she give notice to the registrar, the notice takes effect 30 days. From within 30 days. From the date of notification. Now, the office of company secretary should not be left vacant for more than 30 days. So basically, once the company secretary has give notice, chances are that the registrar may take actions after that. Okay. Now, as far as appointment of company secretary is concerned, it depends whether the contract is a contract of service or a contract for service. So if your contract of service, basically, he is an employee. So if you want to remove a company secretary, there should be some procedures to follow. But if it's a contract for service, then dismissal or termination will be following the contract. Okay, as far as liability is concerned, company secretary is an officer of company, so he has fiduciary to perform for the company just like any other officers. So when I said officers, so you need to look back at the definition of officers under section 2 subsection 1. So officer shall include director, secretary or employee. Okay, so basically company secretary requires to act honestly and in good faith. They will be personally liable to criminal charges if he or she commits wrongful act and can also be penalized with fine. Even a simple failure to lodge annual return to SSM can also be a wrongful act. So if you become company secretary, so you should be careful on your conduct to the company. Okay, that is all about company secretary, very brief. Okay, now we move on to the topic of auditor. Okay, auditor. So under the topic, we're going to learn appointment, we're going to learn qualification, position, rights and duties. So as far as appointment is concerned, a company must appoint an approved company auditor. So approved company auditor is a person who has been approved by the Minister of Finance to act as auditor, having the necessary qualification and satisfy that he is of good character and competent to perform. So this is governed by section 263 as far as appointment is concerned. Okay, so every approval shall be enforced for 2 years. Okay, unless the minister revoke, so you can apply for renewal. Okay, now if there is any person who is aggrieved by the decision of the minister, basically they can actually appeal to the court, right? Whatever decision. Okay, and then so basically a company shall not appoint a person or firm as auditor unless prior to appointment that particular auditor has consented to act as an auditor, and as far as a firm is concerned, at least one partner has consented in writing, because an auditor has a very big liability which they carries with them. So they need to audit the company in order to ensure that the company complies with all those requirements. So it is best to actually obtain the consent. Now, when we talk about auditor, when we talk about company, like I said again, you need to distinguish whether it's a private company or a public company. Okay, so if you look at the notes, what is written on the slide, private company shall appoint an auditor for each financial year. Okay, and however, registrar have the power under section 267 to exempt any private company for appointing auditor according to the conditions as determined. Now, exemption is not automatic, you have to apply. Okay, now the board of a private company, when they appoint auditor, they should actually appoint at least 30 days before the end of period for submission of the first financial statement to the registrar. Okay, and then during those period of 30 days before end of the period allowed, okay, basically there should be ordinary resolution as far as the appointment is concerned. Now, when the company fails to appoint an auditor by virtue of section 268, registrar may appoint one or more auditors upon application in writing from any members of the company. So no company is left without an auditor. Okay, and then section 269 provide an auditor shall not hold office in accordance with the term of his appointment, provided that an auditor shall hold office in accordance with the terms of his appointment, provided that he does not take office until the previous auditor ceases to hold office. Okay, if there is a previous auditor, then he can only take that appointment after the previous auditor completed his term, or if he's the first auditor. Unless if he's the first auditor, then there would not be any problem. Okay, and he ceases to hold office 30 days from the circulation of financial statement unless he is reappointed. So you experience later, if you are doing the company secretarial job, that all these dates, 30 days, 14 days, 21 days are very important. So before end of 30 days, you make sure that, try as much as possible to find somebody who you want to be appointed as auditor, and make sure you put in the agenda as the one of the agenda during the board meeting, during the AGM if possible, or for the appointment of an auditor. Okay, so that is on the private company. Now, what about public company? Okay, when we talk about public company, there's something else that there's more than whatever you have discussed under private company. So basically, as far as auditor is concerned, same thing. You cannot actually indebted to the company exceeding 25,000 ringgit to the company or any corporation related to the company. Or you cannot be an auditor if your spouse is an officer of the company. Why? There might be some disclosure, inadvertent disclosure of information. Okay, and you cannot also be a company auditor if you are partner employee, or if you are a shareholder, or your spouse is a shareholder, right? And you also cannot be an auditor if you are still an undischarged bankrupt, whether within or outside Malaysia, except with the leave of the court. And then if you have been convicted of any offence involving fraud, punishable with imprisonment for 3 months or more. Now, reason why company auditors appointment is also strict, because they wanted to make sure that auditors are impartial, no bias on the part of auditor. Okay. Now, for public company, an auditor shall be appointed each financial year. Okay. And then basically the board shall also appoint an auditor at any time before the first AGM, okay, or to fill any casual vacancy in the office. So before the first AGM, the board must actually find somebody to become an auditor. Okay, and then by virtue of section 271 subsection 3, an auditor who appointed before the first AGM, they shall hold office until conclusion of the first AGM. Okay, after that, either they're going to be reappointed during the AGM, or that's it. Okay. Now, section 271 subsection 4 provides members shall appoint auditor by ordinary resolution at the AGM, or if the company have appointed an auditor during the AGM, but or if they should have appointed but they fail to do so, or if they fail to appoint an auditor, or the board also fail to appoint an auditor. So basically, in those situations, they must actually appoint an auditor. Okay, and then appointment should be in accordance with section 271 subsection 2, and then pursuant to 273, an auditor shall hold office in accordance with the terms of his appointment, provided he does not take office until previous auditor cease to hold office, or unless he is the first auditor. So similar to private company. Okay, that is as far as appointment is concerned. Okay.